I reached out to my mom for my monthly allowance, but accidentally messaged my cold CEO husband instead. Wifey, it's time to send over my living expenses. Love you to my horror a minute later. I received a voice note that sent shivers down my spine. Be good. I'm in a meeting with the screen projected. We'll talk later. That dangerously indulgent tone of his instantly dragged my soul back to my past life. He had fallen head over heels for a male college student, using his absolute power to possess and claim him, to force a divorce and clear the path for his lover. He ruthlessly destroyed my family and ruined my life. Consumed by despair and resentment, I threw myself from the top of a skyscraper. But as he stared down at my broken corpse, his face twisted with pure disgust, if you're going to die, do it somewhere else. You're polluting my sight. Yet when I opened my eyes again, I realized that I had miraculously returned to 1 month before he met that boy. 1 month prior. This time I went straight to the cafe where the boy worked part-time. I wanted to see exactly what kind of kid could steal away the woman I've loved for 10 long years. Sir, would you like a refill on your coffee just then? He approached my table, his smile radiating like pure sunlight. I snapped back to reality, realizing I'd been staring at him like an idiot. It's a good thing I'm also a man. Otherwise, I'd have been flagged as a total creep. I offered a polite practice smile. Sure. Black coffee, please. In no time at all, a cup of bitter black coffee was placed before me. But he didn't just walk away. Instead, he hesitated and spoke up, sir. You've already had 2 cups today. It's great for focus, but it's really not good for your health. He was kind-hearted and refreshingly outgoing, possessing a voice that was clean and melodious. I grabbed my briefcase and stood up. Fair point. Check, please. The boy seemed genuinely happy I took his advice. Rushing back to the counter, sir, your total for today comes to $87. I paid in silence and made a swift exit. In my past life, I lost everything before I even saw his face, utterly crushed by his influence. But his only real weakness is the massive social chasm between him and Wenwan. On the way back, my assistant Xiao Lu suddenly spoke up, sir. Today is your wedding anniversary with CEO Wen. A sudden wave of days washed over me. Thinking back, this marks my 5th year of being married into the Wen family. I'm 27 this year, and she's 29. I rubbed my aching temples. I'm aware, but as the car pulled up to our estate, I was stunned to see Wenwan's car already parked at the entrance. She actually came home. When someone who has died once meets the architect of their ruin again, how should they react? I thought I would be consumed by hatred. Hatred for her destroying my family and hounding me to my death. But now that I'm actually facing her once more, that intense burning malice is nowhere to be found. Instead, I feel a strange sense of liberation. In my past life, my own jealousy and petty resentment pushed us both into a lethal, desperate struggle. But now, I only want to change that pathetic, self-destructive end. What are you just standing there for? Wenwan was lounging in the living room, deftly crushing a cigarette butt into the crystal ashtray. I bent down to change my shoes, but staring at those expensive, suffocatingly dull Hermes slippers. A sudden surge of revulsion hit me. My mind flashed back to the coffee shop, to that cartoon Superman badge on the boy's apron. The next second, I violently kicked the slippers aside and walked into the living room barefoot. Wenwan's eyes tracked my bare feet, her brow furrowing slightly. No shoes. I met her gaze directly, replying with total indifference, yeah. I didn't feel like wearing them, so I didn't. To my surprise, Wenwan actually let out a chuckle. With a rare light-hearted tone, she asked, that's new. What's gotten into you? I sneered internally, stimulated. I was stimulated into a literal rebirth by your future soulmate. I looked at Wenwan as she toyed with her phone, and without breaking my stare, I spoke, Wenwan, let's get a divorce. The words had barely left my lips when I heard a mocking scoff. She slammed her phone onto the sofa and fixed me with those familiar icy and utterly heartless eyes. Gu Xinghe, what kind of pathetic stunt are you pulling now? I'm being dead serious. I met her piercing gaze with absolute composure, articulating every single word. It's been 5 years. Since you're never going to fall for me anyway, let's just stop suffocating each other and move on. In exactly 1 month, she is destined to attend a business forum and fall head over heels for a part-time male greeter. I refuse to be the sacrificial lamb in their epic romance again. And I definitely won't drag the Gu family into the abyss a second time. I have to completely extricate myself before she encounters that fateful choice. Suddenly, Wenwan's expression darkened into something sinister. Her fuse has always been dangerously short. The moment someone ticks her off, she shows absolutely no mercy. So I, Wenwan, have become nothing but a plaything to you? She erupted into a sharp laugh, though her eyes remained as cold as a winter grave. 5 years ago, you were the one begging to marry into my family, and now you're the one demanding a divorce. Gu Xinghe, are you freaking kidding me? 5 years ago, when Wan's dying grandmother forced this union upon her, to her, this marriage has always been a humiliating scar. I let out a sorrowful, bitter chuckle. Don't tell me, you actually want to maintain this hollow, loveless marriage. Hollow and loveless. When Wan repeated the words, savoring their bitterness, her eyebrow arching. with pure unadulterated sarcasm. Oh, so you're feeling a bit neglected, are you? No, that's not it. As I struggled to find the words, Wenwan lunged to her feet, violently snatching me into her grasp. If you were lonely, why didn't you just call me? Is playing the divorce card really necessary? It's not about that. I desperately tried to explain. But Wenwan suddenly pulled back. She never had any genuine interest in me. That brief display of intimacy was just a tactic to humiliate me. Gu Xinghe, I know today is our anniversary, but I have zero interest in celebrating such nonsense. Wenwan looked down on me with total disdain, her voice dripping with frost. If this is your way of throwing a tantrum, I suggest you stop wasting your energy. I haven't cared about this anniversary for years, and I certainly don't plan on starting now. I stood my ground and rose to face her. Staring him down, I said, think it over carefully. My usefulness to you has pretty much hit its limit. You crave freedom far more than you need me, don't you? Leaving those words behind, I ascended to the second floor. Below, the violent slam of a door echoed through the house, followed by the aggressive roar of a car engine. Wenwan had stormed out, yet my heart felt unnervingly still. In that exact moment, my phone began to vibrate. It was my best friend Bo Yanzhou. Old Gu, let's hit the town. Candy Garden is calling our names. Since I got hitched, he's invited me out 10 times, and I've turned him down 9, yet his persistence remained legendary. Count me in, I agreed instantly. The sudden promptness left the other end of the line in dead silence. Today is your anniversary with Wenwan Man. Are you positive you're coming out? Bo Yanzhou's voice was thick with pure shock. Yeah, it's an anniversary, not a funeral. I'll be there in a flash. Tossing the phone aside, I threw on some fresh clothes, igniting my red Porsche and tearing toward Candy Garden. After a few heavy rounds of drinks, my liquid courage began to surge. Bo Yanzhou clapped me on the shoulder. Old Gu, any of these beauties catch your eye yet? If you like one, go for it. Wenwan is making headlines with scandals daily. We can't let her win this game. You're right, I slurred, scanning the room through a drunken haze. My gaze eventually locked onto a young college girl. Glass in hand, I stumbled my way over to her, tapping her shoulder. Want a drink? It's on me. The girl flinched before offering a regretful shake of her head. Sorry, big brother, but I've already got a boyfriend. I see. My bad. I gave her a deep, apologetic bow. I was just about to pivot and scout for a new target. But before I could take 2 steps, someone tripped me. The glass shattered into a million jagged pieces. Let me help you up. It was the same college girl. She reached out to lend a hand. But as I sat there on the floor looking up at her, my face suddenly felt like it was on fire. What on earth is happening? I must be suffering from some vivid hallucination. The college girl's face abruptly morphed into Wenwan's, staring down at me with an icy piercing gaze. I struggled frantically to pull myself up, only to slam my palm directly onto the jagged glass shards. Fresh blood erupted from the wound instantly. I barely lasted 2 seconds before blacking out completely. When I finally jolted awake again, I found myself back in the sanctuary of my own bedroom. That college girl must have been the one to bring me home. I stared at my meticulously bandaged hand, searching the room for any sign of her presence, but only Wenwan's sluggish voice drifted from outside. Go play. I'm not in the mood for this today. She was leaning over the second floor railing, a cigarette dangling precariously between her fingers. I braced myself against the doorframe and asked, where is she? Who? Wenwan countered, narrowing her eyes. The girl, that young college student. I answered her with total honesty. Since Wenwan is destined to go crazy for that boy in a month, I might as well seek some emotional solace of my own. To my surprise, Wenwan's breathtakingly beautiful face was instantly consumed by a wave of pure fury. She violently seized my injured wrist, dragging me toward the walk-in closet. Change your clothes. Who gave you permission to dress? Like this? I looked at her. Wenwan, is it true you stayed at a hotel with that boy the other day? I asked, my voice hauntingly calm. That is none of your business. Her retort was as cold and dismissive as ever. Then from now on, I'm none of your business either. If you won't divorce me, then we'll both just play the field. I spoke flatly. You really want to cuckold me? Wenwan let out a chilling sneer. Gu Xinghe, you've lost your mind. Are you high? Just sign the papers. I proposed the split once again. Keep dreaming. Wenwan saw right through my agenda, regaining her usual mask of cold indifference. I want you to spend every second of your life regretting marrying me. You want to live separate lives. Fine, we'll each do as we damn well please. I was stunned into a daze. I never realized that being forced to marry me had fueled a hatred this deep and venomous within her. While my brain was still trying to process her words, Wenwan suddenly narrowed her eyes with suspicion. Her sharp gaze cut right through me. Are you actually Gu Xinghe's secret twin brother? I let out a dry, hollow laugh. Guess. She didn't bother offering a reply. Instead, she leaned in close to my ear. If you're so desperate for attention that you have to stray, don't bring any bastards home. I won't claim them. Those words were like a poisoned needle stabbing my heart. I instinctively raised my hand and swung, landing a vicious slap across her face that left my palm vibrating from the impact. Wenwan's head snapped to the side, a vivid crimson handprint blooming on her cheek. Slowly, she turned back toward me, her eyes so lethal she looked ready to strangle me. My hand was trembling uncontrollably, but not out of fear. It was because my stitches had ripped open, and blood was beginning to soak through. Wenwan glanced at my bleeding hand, then turned around and walked away without a word, leaving me with nothing but her cold retreating silhouette. After that confrontation, Wenwan vanished into thin air once again. I saw her in the tabloids, at the clubs and in the corporate headlines, everywhere except for our actual home. I kept track of the passing days. Only 2 weeks remained, until the fateful day she would encounter Nanze. During this countdown, I frequented a specific coffee shop, silently observing the man known as Nanze. Every single one of his movements was seared into my memory. If I were born a woman, I suppose I'd fall for him too. Just then, a coworker called out, "Nanza, your girlfriend is here to see you." That's right, he already had a girlfriend. A poor innocent girl, who stood absolutely no chance against someone like Wenwan. The coffee shop door swung open, and a girl carrying a box of hot takoyaki stepped inside. I froze in my seat. It was her, the college girl Lily. "What are you doing here?" Nanza beamed, looking like an excited puppy, welcoming his owner like a devoted pup. "I brought you some takoyaki." The college girl's face lit up with a grin, her eyes curving into delicate crescent moons, perfectly mirroring Nanzi's own expression. They were a match made in heaven. Yet Wenwan would eventually tear them apart. "What a tragedy," I muttered, sitting in the corner, keeping my head bowed low, out of sheer terror that she might recognize me as that same drunkard who hit on her at the club. The moment she left, I settled the bill and hurried out of the shop. Sir Xiaolu greeted me. I simply said, "Home." I leaned back into the rear seat, utterly drained. How is it that in the second life, everything has become even more of a tangled mess? Before the car could even cover 100 meters, I suddenly spoke up. "Xiaolu, let me drive." I gripped the steering wheel tight, scanning the streets with predatory focus. And there she was. I spotted the college girl at the upcoming intersection. I waited for the perfect split second, floored the accelerator and surged forward, successfully grazing her and sending her tumbling. "I am so sorry." "Are you okay?" I feigned panic, rushing out to help. Her leg was a bloody mess, a pretty severe injury by the looks of it. "Mister," the girl gasped through the pain, letting out a cry of pure shock when she saw me. I immediately ordered Xiaolu to rush her to the hospital. "Her name is Lili," a 21-year-old student. I sat on the cold hospital bench, staring at the new number saved in my phone, my heart feeling hollow and desolate. I suppose I'm just not a big enough person to let go. The only revenge I could fathom was to use their own tactics right back against them. If Nanze is going to steal my wife, then why shouldn't I take his girlfriend? I covered every cent of her medical expenses, along with compensation for her recovery and lost wages. In just half a day, I managed to extract her entire life story. "Focus on your recovery. I'll be stopping by to check on you often." Before I made my exit, I put on my best mask of a kind older brother. "It's really fine, brother. I'm still young. I'll bounce back in no time." Lily replied with such pure innocence. On the drive back, I headed straight for a pharmacy and cleared the shelves of premium supplements. Next, I gave Xiaolu a strict order. "Scour the best agencies for top-tier domestic help. I need someone whose cooking is god-tier. Ideally, a professional with a nutritionist certification." Xiaolu immediately moved to execute the plan. Back at the mansion, I strode in ahead, clutching my Prada briefcase, with Xiaolu trailing behind, arms full of tonics. To my surprise, the moment I opened the door, Wenwan was gracefully descending the staircase, adjusting her seductive collar as she made her way down. I dismissed Xiaolu at once. "There's a gala in an hour. Your parents will be in attendance too. Get ready to accompany me." Wenwan didn't even spare a glance at the supplements. She simply gave me a cold mechanical notification. She never takes me to social events, unless I serve some specific purpose. I headed to the second floor to change. Over the past 2 weeks, I'd overhauled my entire wardrobe. I selected a sleek wine red tailored suit, with the collar low enough to flash my collarbone, accented by a diamond-encrusted watch and brooch. Under the spotlight, I'll be absolutely blinding. I used to be so reserved. Now I'm going for pure, unadulterated flash. Wenwan was waiting downstairs for me, locked in a phone conversation. She heard my footsteps on the stairs but didn't flinch. She didn't even bother to acknowledge my existence. I didn't give a damn though. I walked out and waited in the car alone. Minutes passed before Wenwan finally emerged. From the moment she got in to the moment we left, her gaze never drifted toward me for even a microsecond. The silence during the drive was deafening. She focused on the road, and I focused on my phone. I had already added Lily on WeChat, and started showering her with concerned messages. "Lily, hospital food is trash. Brother is going to bring you something better." "No, really, you don't have to." "Brother, I swear the food here is fine. I'm visiting you tomorrow, and I'm bringing high-end supplements. Don't be shy about it. Just tell me if you need anything." If Wenwan wants to play the goddess for Nanza, then I'll play the Prince Charming for Lili. It feels like a fair game of chess, honestly. My twisted heart finally feels at peace. Just then, the car lurched to a halt at a red light. Wenwan finally tilted her head, casting a sideways glance in my direction. She finally registered how different I looked today. But of course, she couldn't say anything. Nice, that suit is a complete waste on you. I guess those K-drama scenes where the male lead stuns the heroine are nothing but pure fiction. I tucked my phone away, puffing out my chest with a smirk. I shot back, are my abs not visible enough for you? I specifically wore a padded undershirt today. That bold, provocative gesture successfully made Wenwan's face darken again. She hissed coldly, Guxinghe, can you please watch your behavior? And why should I countered. I've played the perfect husband for years, did it matter? Did it, don't forget your status? Wenwan's tone was utterly venomous. She refuses to treat me like a husband, yet demands I maintain the discipline of one. I turned to the window, refusing to engage. At the gala, Wenwan and I played the part of a happy couple. After some small talk, I found a secluded spot to sit. As fate would have it, the guy sitting right next to me was none other than Chen-Li the boy toy, who trended for booking a hotel room with Wenwan. Why are you sitting here all alone? Another man walked up and asked him, Xingyuan, come sit with me for a bit. Chen-Li's voice was bright. Your CEO Wen is over there. Aren't you going to say hello? Li Xingyuan teased him. Stop talking nonsense. CEO Wen actually has a husband, you know. That husband is just a placeholder, a total ghost. Everyone knows you've been her favorite lately. I heard she even bought you a house. Li Xingyuan's voice was thick with envy. She's actually incredibly generous with me. Chen-Li bragged, his words dripping with arrogance. Honestly, I hit the jackpot meeting her. Wenwan is generous with everyone, it seems. Everyone except her placeholder husband. Right then, my parents strolled over. Hing. Where's Wenwan? At the mention of her name. Chen-Li and Li Xingyuan snapped their heads toward me, their expressions becoming absolutely priceless. I stood up and looped my arm through my mom's. What's the point of sticking by her side? I'd much rather chat with you guys. It's more fun. My mother shot me a look of pure bewilderment. Chen-Li finally realized who I was, his face turning a chaotic shade of red and white, his eyes burning with sheer hostility. I pulled my mom down into a seat and began complaining loudly I didn't even want to come today. But Wenwan insisted I accompany her. It's such a drag. You child, this is a serious business event. Stop talking about being bored. My mother took my hand, though she was scolding me. Her tone was undeniably doting and warm. Watching Chen-Li from my periphery, I continued, but it is boring. Oh, by the way, Mama had Xiaolu hire some maids. Wenwan complained that I'm too skinny, so she wants me to bulk up. It's about time you hired help, Yen Song. My mother nodded in full agreement. Well, I just wanted to enjoy our private world together. But I'm officially over that now. Chen-Li bit his pale pink lip, looking like he was struggling to keep his composure. A second later, he bolted upright and hurried away, with Li Xingyuan trailing behind him in awkward silence. The gala finally wound down. I had zero desire to head back with Wenwan. I wanted to go home and spend quality time with my parents. Besides, Wenwan never bothers with my whereabouts, as long as I don't embarrass her publicly. My mom handed me her car keys and told me to wait for them in the parking garage. But just as I located her car in the underground lot and prepared to climb inside, I spotted Wenwan and Chen-Li locked in a heated physical confrontation. Chen-Li gripped the hem of Wenwan's suit jacket, looking utterly pathetic. You were so good to me. Was there not even a shred of sincerity? Believe whatever you want. Just stop bothering me. Wenwan violently shoved him aside. That's just her classic move. The second she's bored, she cuts you off without a second thought. A single apartment made Chen-Li believe he was her one true love. In that exact moment, Wenwan caught a glimpse of me out of the corner of her eye. That look of impatient, toxic disgust instantly shifted toward me, as if I were the one desperately clinging to her. I bolted into the car and slammed the locks shut. If I weren't waiting for my parents, I would have floored the accelerator and vanished, seeing me treat her like a plague. Wenwan must have lost her mind. She actually started walking straight toward my mother's car. She tapped on the glass, mouthing the words, "Get out." I frowned and shook my head, mouthing my response right back at her. No. A second later, my phone erupted. It was Wenwan. Guxinghe, get out here right this instant. I have zero interest in joining your little drama. I locked eyes with her through the glass, meeting her volcanic rage. I've thought it through. I can't divorce her before she meets Nanze. I just have to endure it a little longer. Wait until she's the one begging for a split, and then I'll sign the papers immediately. I can even walk away with a chunk of Wen Group's shares. It's a win for me. Wenwan was absolutely livid. She had clearly never experienced me defying her like this. Just then, Chen-Li approached with tear-stained cheeks, clutching at Wenwan's sleeve again. It was like staring at a reflection of my past self, and suddenly I felt I had no right to mock him. Wenwan shot me one last venomous glare, grabbed Chen-Li and hauled him into her car. She sped off, leaving a cloud of dust behind. I exhaled a long breath of relief. By the time my parents returned, I was practically nodding off. Mom, I'm craving some sticky rice chicken. I leaned against her, acting like a spoiled kid. This is the scent of a mother's love. Safe, comforting, and warm. It's the middle of the night and you want sticky rice chicken. My mother chuckled, playfully swatting my hand. What's gotten into you today? Did you and Wenwan have another falling out? Usually we don't see you for weeks at a time. I was just blinded by a foolish crush back then. I replied with a playful, carefree grin. From now on, I'm going to be your devoted little shadow. My dad nearly swerved the car off the road in shock. You don't love Wenwan anymore. I do, but that doesn't stop me from letting her go. I was never meant to hold on to her anyway. Look at that girl surrounded by scandals every single day. I've been sick of her behavior for a long time. My dad finally found his courage. She's a total player. Once the floodgates opened, my parents unleashed all their pent-up resentment toward Wenwan. Only then did I realize how much humiliation they'd endured for my sake. Suffocated by guilt and heartache, I couldn't even lift my head. By the time we reached home, it was the dead of night. I scrubbed off the day and collapsed into bed. I have no idea how long I'd been out. But my mom eventually nudged my door open. What is it? I mumbled, half asleep. Didn't you say you wanted sticky rice chicken? I made a fresh batch for you. Wake up and eat a bit before sleeping. I was instantly alert. I sat there on the edge of the bed for a few seconds, stunned, as a wave of heat hit my eyes. And the tears began to pour uncontrollably. Oh my! What's wrong, sweetheart? Y'all Schulze. That Wenwan must have really broken your heart this time. My mom was frantic with worry, pulling me into her arms. I'm going to the Wen house for an explanation. Wenwan didn't do anything to me. I'm just overwhelmed with gratitude, because you treat me so incredibly well. I clung to my mother's, waist sobbing. Wenwan truly didn't bully me. Everything had been the result of my own one-sided obsession. She was a transparent villain, while I was merely a pathetic blind worshiper. So, do you still want the chicken? Of course, I've been craving this for a lifetime. I wiped my face and dragged myself out of bed. When I woke up the next morning, I felt a sense of liberation I'd never known before. After finishing breakfast, I made my way straight to the hospital. Lily's leg was stitched up tight, swaddled in thick gauze that kept her immobile. Brother, what are you doing here? She looked at me, eyes wide with surprise. I offered a warm, gentle smile. Turning to Xiaolu, I commanded, bring them in. Xiaolu immediately entered, lugging a mountain of premium supplements, placing them right by Lily's bedside. Lily was visibly overwhelmed. Big brother. It's just a minor scratch. Honestly, this is way too much. A scratch is still an injury. I took a seat beside her bed. By the way, I haven't even officially asked for your name. I'm Lily. And I'm Gu Xinghe. You can just call me Brother Gu. Lily nodded shyly. Okay, Brother Gu. I stayed by her side, chatting about everything under the sun. She gushed about her handsome boyfriend, dreaming of a fairy tale wedding right after graduation. I let out a scoffing laugh, but quickly stifled it. Brother, what's so funny? Lily asked, sounding a bit hesitant. Nothing. I just remembered my own college days, and how I once shared those same beautiful illusions. Which university did you graduate from, Brother Gu? I gave her a long, meaningful look. Han University? Lily was ecstatic. Brother Gu, we're alumni. We went to the same school. Is that so? What a coincidence. I feigned a look of pleasant surprise. If Nanze had never crossed paths with Wenwan, Lily's dreams would have most likely become her reality. Just as our conversation was flowing effortlessly, a clear melodic voice rang out. Lily, I'm here to see you. That specific voice, it was identical to the exclusive ringtone Wenwan used for him. In our previous life, I snapped my head toward the door. Nanzi stood there in a simple white t-shirt, radiating sunlight and effortless charm. Effortless charm. He was the definition of youthful vibrance. At 20 years old, in the prime of his life, his sheer vitality made my heart ache with bitterness. When I was 20, I had already spent 3 years pining for Wenwan. Why is it that at the exact same age, Nanzi receives Wenwan's obsessive passion, while I was left to wither in the dark night after night? If I knew you'd rush over, I wouldn't have told you. No, I didn't want to worry you. Lily's face lit up with pure joy at the sight of Nanze. Don't be silly. How could you hide an injury like this from me? Nanze approached carrying a basket of fresh fruit. I rose and offered him the only chair in the room. I remained eerily calm. After all, I was about to hand Wenwan over to him too. What's a measly chair compared to that? Wait, brother, it's you. Nanzi suddenly recognized my face, asking in total shock, what are you doing here? Because I'm the one who ran into your lovely girlfriend. I let out an awkward practiced chuckle. Nanza glanced between me and Lily, processing the situation. But surprisingly, there wasn't a hint of blame. Instead, he beamed at me. What a small world. Lily, this gentleman is a regular at our coffee shop. He's a truly great person. I'm sure hitting you was just a freak accident. His pure naive understanding left me speechless. If it were anyone else, it might have been unintentional. But not for me. I had calculated the exact moment of impact. I knew it. Brother Gu, I was certain you didn't mean it. You even paid me extra compensation. I actually felt quite guilty taking it. Lily scratched her head, but Nanzi shook his. He instantly pulled out his phone. Brother Gu, show me your QR code. I need to refund the excess money you paid. This noble pride, this effortless disregard for money as if it were mere dirt. I suppose that's exactly what captivates Wenwan. Despite being draped in luxury brands, I felt cheap and worthless standing next to him. It's fine, really. Lily's leg might be scarred forever. She deserves every penny of that compensation. I'll leave you two to talk. I've got things to handle. I turned and walked away. This young couple's sweet, blissful time is running out. They only have about 2 weeks left. In half a month, Wenwan will make her grand aggressive entrance, and Nanzi will become her ultimate prey. Upon leaving the hospital, I instructed Xiaolu to drive to Fengzhou Villa, the cold house I shared with Wenwan. I needed to retrieve my herbal medicine packs to go along with my mother's home cooking. I'm bound to gain 10 pounds this month. But as I grabbed my herbal medicine packs to leave, Wenwan's silhouette suddenly loomed over the staircase. Why didn't you get out of the car yesterday? She looked down at me from her pedestal, her eyes brimming with cold displeasure. Why is she home again? Usually she only graces this house once every 3 months. I never interfered with your little scandals in the past, and I didn't want to break that tradition now, I replied with perfect composure. Is that so then their resources being cut one by one? And the media smears that followed were just coincidences. So she knew everything all along. She just never stopped me, because those men were nothing but temporary playthings, unlike what Nenzai would eventually become. In my past life, even if I just tried to see his face, Wenwan would transform into a feral lioness, ready to tear me limb from limb. I won't deny it. You lavished money and resources on every single one of them. Since that's technically our marital property, it's only natural for me to reclaim a portion of it. Then what about Chen Li from last night? Wenwan descended the stairs, standing right in front of me with an intense, suffocating pressure. I gave him a house. Half of it belongs to you. Why didn't you demand it back right then and there? Is Wenwan possessed or something? Why is she wasting her breath on this nonsense with me now? In a year at most, she'll be the one filing for divorce, offering me a massive settlement in exchange. Why would I care about a measly apartment? I've had a change of heart. He's not the first, and he certainly won't be the last. I can't keep track of them all. I brushed past her, eager to make my exit. I should have sent Xiaolu in to grab the medicine. Back at my parents' place, I handed the medicine to the nanny. Dad? The moment I walked in, he glared at me and shoved his phone into my hand. Rising star Chen Li, spotted at hotel with Wen Group's female CEO. I handed the phone back to my father and offered a calm consolation, Dad. It's all just smoke and mirrors. It's just for show. You're still defending her. My father was absolutely livid. Well then, go teach her a lesson right now. I rolled up my sleeves. We'll go in as father and son and beat them into a bloody pulp. But my dad chuckled, his stern face finally breaking into a warm smile. That afternoon, I scrolled through the trending news. Chen Li claimed he and Wenwan were just close friends, discussing a potential new film project. Seems like Wenwan had to pay a steep price to clear this up. Unknowingly, I drifted off to sleep on the sofa, until Bo Yanzhou's call jolted me awake. Old Gu, get your ass over here for drinks. Akiyik. There are some absolute goddesses here. Bo Yanzhou yelled over the phone, they're world-class beauties. So hurry up and get down here. Ever since I mentioned the divorce, these guys have been taking turns dragging me out, scared that I might be wallowing in misery. And honestly, I needed the distraction. Otherwise, I'd keep spiraling back into those dark memories of my tragic past life. I'll change and be there in a flash. Half an hour later, I headed out looking sharp and refreshed. I have to admit, the women Bo Yanzhou invited were definitely top tier, resembling trendy internet celebrities. But the more alcohol I consumed, the more I subconsciously compared them to Wenwan. She's still the most breathtaking of them all. Excuse me, I need to step out to the restroom. As I stood up, the beauty sitting next to me immediately offered to help. After I finished throwing up and came out, she was still waiting. Can I get your WeChat? I played along. And why would you want that? Well, you will be it. She answered bluntly, if you're ever feeling lonely, you can call me anytime. I froze for a second. Did Bo Yanzhou really hire some professionals for me? Fueled by the liquid courage of the alcohol, I lowered my head and leaned in close to her. Let's see if I can handle the loneliness then. With that, I turned and walked away. I have zero interest in women of her caliber. Little did I know, Bo Yanzhou was lingering right behind me. Seeing me approach, he scurried back to his seat. My tolerance is shot. I'm heading home to crash. I rubbed my temples, feeling the world start to spin. I'm heading out too. Feng Yu stood up as well. Bo Yanzhou pouted like a rejected child, forced to settle the bill before we parted ways. Bo Yanzhou grinned like a crafty thief. Hey, old Go, do you think if your precious Wenwan knew you were drinking with beauties in Wuxi, she'd actually get jealous for once? I slid into my car and waved him off dismissively. Don't mention her. It's bad luck. As I neared the entrance to my house, a sudden violent screech of brakes jolted me into sobriety. Xiaolu, what the hell are you doing? Sir, That's President Wen's car blocking us. Xiaolo pointed toward the Bugatti, parked arrogantly in the middle of the road. What on earth is Wen Wan doing here? I told Xiaolu to drive the car home first, while I prepared to walk the rest of the way. Suddenly, Wen Wan stepped out of the car, blocking my path. She looked absolutely livid, fury dancing deep within her eyes. Come here, explain to me exactly what this is. Wen Wan pulled up her social media feed, displaying a candid photo of me at the restroom entrance, seemingly flirting with that woman from earlier. In the shot, I was leaning in close, creating an incredibly suggestive atmosphere. Bo Yanzhou's caption read, "Plenty of fish in the sea," and my boy old Gu has finally seen the light. I couldn't help but let out a snicker. It actually rhymed perfectly. Gu Xinghei, Wen Wan hissed through gritted teeth. Didn't you say it yourself, that we could both just play the field? So why are you back here interrogating me? Wen Wan sneered. Playing around is one thing, but who gave you permission to broadcast it? I almost forgot that Bo Yanzhou's social circle overlapped with Wen Wan's elite friends. With this post, her public image was being dragged through the mud. No wonder Bo Yanzhou was acting so suspicious tonight. He was intentionally trying to trigger Wen Wan. Fine. Next time I'll tell them not to post anything. My head was spinning violently, and I just wanted to collapse into bed. But the moment I turned my back, Wen Wan lunged forward and snatched my wrist. A sharp pain shot through me as if she were about to crush my bones. In a flash of instinct, I lowered my head and sank my teeth deep into Wen Wan's forearm. She seemed genuinely stunned by my primal reaction, and for a moment, she didn't even try to shake me off, letting me continue to bite her. Have you lost your mind? Wen Wan finally thought to shove me away, leaving a perfect angry set of teeth marks on her arm. I stared at her through the shadows, the suppressed bitterness in my heart finally beginning to boil over. I had loved her for so incredibly long, yet I had never managed to leave a single mark on her body. But that guy Nanzie, he had covered her neck in countless hickeys. Wen Wan, do you honestly think you have the right to interrogate me? I wiped the trace of blood from the corner of my mouth and spoke with an icy tone. Over the years, the number of men you've been linked to is far too high to even count on my fingers. Did you think my dignity didn't matter at all? Wen Wan merely offered a chillingly detached reply. Isn't that your own fault, Xiao? Did anyone actually force you to marry me? Of course not. Back then, if anyone had dared to stop me, I would have held a knife to their throat myself. Fine, it was my own doing. I looked at her, emphasizing every syllable. But people change. I've moved on. Is that okay? No, it's not. Wen Wan's response was as frigid and unwavering as ever. Since you chose a path you shouldn't have, you must pay the corresponding price. A sudden laugh escaped my lips. Wen Wan! Believe it or not, in the very near future, you will be the one begging me for a divorce. She looked at me with a gaze full of cold indifference. Gu Xinghei, what kind of delusional fantasy are you living in? I let out a long, weary sigh. Just watch. You'll definitely be the one to set me free. Finished, I turned to head home and crash. But Wen Wan snatched me up like a hawk grabbing a chick, effortlessly stuffing me into the passenger seat of her car. No, I'm not going back to Fengzhou Villa. Open the door, I protested violently. But she ignored me completely. The car sped off toward the villa. I glared at her in frustration. Turn around and take me back. I left something behind. What exactly? She asked flatly. My herbal medicine packs? Wen Wan's expression shifted instantly. Do you have a terminal illness? This woman seriously has zero social skills. I chuckled weakly. Nothing that dramatic. I'm just too thin and want to work on my physique. I'm trying to look like a man. To my surprise, Wen Wan's face grew even darker after hearing that. However, at that moment, the alcohol finally hit its peak, and I passed out in the back seat. I woke up the following morning to find myself back in my own bed yet again. That's the second time she's lugged me back to my room. This whole trend is getting a bit ridiculous. My head was throbbing with a splitting migraine. I headed downstairs shirtless, desperate to find some food. But halfway down the steps, I froze in my tracks. I spotted 2 or 3 women perched on the sofa, all of them snapping their heads up to stare at me. Wen Wan was right there in the middle of them, clutching a hand of playing cards. In that instant, her expression turned darker than a burnt pot. Look away, ladies, close your eyes. Zheng Yuting barked as she shoved another woman's head down to block her view. I scrambled back upstairs in a panicked frenzy to get dressed, cursing Wen Wan under my breath 800 times. Has she lost her mind lately? Or is she literally possessed by a ghost? Why is she suddenly haunting this house every other day? By the time I threw on a shirt and ventured downstairs again, the trio had ditched the cards and were deep in conversation. I recognized all of Wen Wan's inner circle of friends. I knew exactly who they were, even if we were hardly on speaking terms. There was Zheng Yuting, Ning Shi, and Zhang Du, all elite socialites from prestigious, high-powered families. Ning Sai was the outlier, though. Rather than grinding away at her family's corporation, she had chosen a career in medicine. Every single one of them knew Wen Wan despised me. In their minds, they had never once regarded me as Wen Wan's legitimate husband, or shown me an ounce of respect. In my past life, they even helped Wenwan pursue Nanzi, except for Ningxi. The three of them tracked my every move as I walked down, and disappeared into the kitchen, maintaining a heavy judgmental silence. I ignored them completely and whipped up a bowl of egg noodles. "Let's go," Wenwan commanded, rising to face the other two. Zhang Yuting and Zhang Du gave a subtle nod, and followed Wenwan out the door. The roar of an engine soon echoed from the driveway. I didn't give a damn about their departure. Once I finished breakfast, I tidied up quickly, and set off for the hospital. My main objective today was a full physical checkup, with a quick stop to visit Lily. Once at the hospital, I registered and went through the screening for the brain cancer from my past life. Fortunately, there were no red flags this time. I tucked the test results away securely, turning my focus back toward Lily's ward. Just as I was moving, the shy, trembling voice of a male nurse drifted over. "Dr. Ning, you're off duty now. Would you like to grab dinner together?" Nearby stood Ningxi in her pristine white coat, her elegant face a mask of icy indifference. Who could have possibly imagined that in my previous life? Even she was head over heels for that man Nanze. I brushed past them, and made my way to Lily's hospital room. To my surprise, Nanza was there again. "Zizi, your girlfriend only has a minor scratch on her leg. Shils. Her hands aren't broken, she can feed herself. And naite." Lily mumbled through a mouthful of apple that Nanzi was currently feeding her. "What, I'm being this sweet to you, and you're actually complaining is sitgate." I let out a deliberate cough, shattering their sickly, sweet, romantic atmosphere. "Brother Gu, you're here again!" Lily gasped in shock. Nanza instantly stood up to offer me his seat. Up close, those delicate idol-like features were even more striking. Suddenly, Ningxi flashed into my mind. In the next heartbeat, I grabbed Nanzi's hand and bolted out of the room. "Brother Gu, what's going on?" Nanzia was visibly startled by my sudden intensity, but Ningxi was already nowhere to be found. I let out a heavy sigh of pure disappointment. If Ningxi had encountered Nanza first, could the ending of this tragedy have been rewritten? I forced a smile back at Nanzi. "It's nothing. I just thought about introducing you to a certain doctor." After dismissing Nanza, I didn't linger in the ward, and made a prompt exit. On the drive home, I swung by the pharmacy to restock my herbal tonics. Then I dialed Xiaoluo. "Have you secured the nannies?" "Yes, President Gu. I'm actually escorting them to your residence right now." Half an hour later, I arrived back at Fengzhou Villa. The team of nannies had already taken their positions. I handed the herbal packets to a kind-looking uncle, instructing him to brew them and bring me the tonic. But as the man approached with the bowl of dark liquid, I took one look at his face, and my heart skipped a beat. I tested the waters, asking, "What is your surname?" "It's Nan, sir." I suddenly realized how surreal this world actually is. I hit on Nanzi's girlfriend to get revenge, and now I've hired Nanzi's own father as my help. This game is getting more entertaining by the second. I lifted the medicinal bowl, gently blowing on the surface before taking a sip. But the bitterness was so foul I spat it right back out. To my surprise, Wenwan had returned at some point. She was standing at the entrance, swapping her shoes. Disgust flickered in her eyes. "If you can't stomach it, don't drink it. Why do you care so much?" I wiped my mouth and countered, "Why are you back again? This is my house too. Is there a problem with me being here?" Wenwan sat down directly across from me, her expression a total blank. I simply nodded, and went back to forcing down the medicine. But the taste was genuinely unbearable. Before it even hit my throat, I sprayed it out again. This time was a disaster. The liquid splattered directly onto Wenwan's face and blouse. Her expression instantly dropped to sub-zero temperatures, as she glared at me with pure venom. I was too choked by the bitterness to even speak, so I instinctively grabbed a tissue and pressed it to her face. Unexpectedly, Wenwan snatched my wrist, and violently threw my hand aside. That look of utter revulsion, I froze in place for a heartbeat. I calmly dropped the tissue to the floor. "My apologies. That medicine is just exceptionally bitter." Wenwan didn't utter a single word, turning on her heel to go upstairs and change. After finishing the bowl, I headed upstairs as well, walking straight into the music room. I uncovered the piano, and a deep, elegant melody instantly filled every corner of the room. But right at that moment, Wenwan slammed the door open, barking irritably. "That's way too loud." A surge of pure irritation flared up in my chest. In my previous life, just because she found it noisy, I abandoned my beloved piano entirely. No wonder Bo Yanzhou and the guys called me a brain-dead fool. In a fit of spite, I slammed my hands onto the keys, creating a jarring racket that made Wenwan's brow knit in pain. A second later, I gracefully lowered the lid, whispering with silk-thin patience, "Then let's just divorce. After the split, we can live our own lives. I could blast a funeral trumpet and it wouldn't bother you." Wenwan let out a mocking sneer. "We don't need a divorce. To live separately, we already do. Then why are you here?" I was genuinely baffled. Is there something in this house that actually attracts her? It surely can't be me. Wenwan seemed unable to cope with this new sharp-tongued version of me, her expression souring by the second. Yet she actually suppressed her rage to counter Guxingke. "You seem desperate to keep me away. Found someone new." She actually suspects me of cheating. Is she trying to catch me red-handed? I widened my eyes and shot back, is there a problem? Didn't you say it was fine as long as I kept it private? Wenwan was instantly provoked into a frenzy. You actually dared to try and cuckold me, she hissed. I struck back immediately. Equality of the sexes, Wenwan. The things you've been doing? Why should I be forbidden from doing the same? Just as our standoff reached its peak, Uncle Nan's timid voice interjected from the doorway. Sir, dinner is served. I pushed past Wenwan without a second thought, heading downstairs to eat. Uncle Nan's culinary skills were divine. I polished off 2 entire bowls of rice in one go. From my periphery, I saw Wenwan stalking out of the house. I finished my last spoonful of soup and beamed at the man. Uncle Nan, whoever is your wife or child must be incredibly lucky. Uncle Nan gave a bashful, humble smile. It's just simple home cooking, sir. I shook my head. Has your family never praised your talent? My son loves my cooking, he admitted. He's always pestering me to open a small restaurant. As Uncle Nan spoke of his son, his eyes overflowed with fatherly love. My smile faltered. In my last life as I lay dying, I begged to see Wenwan one last time, but my father told me. She was busy cutting the ribbon for her future father-in-law's restaurant. That restaurant ended up being one of the top 3 in the city. Uncle Nan gave a self-deprecating reply. Our little family of 3 are just ordinary citizens. We don't have much luck to speak of. I spoke with a heavy cryptic tone. Uncle Nan, when luck strikes, it's an unstoppable force. What if your son ends up incredibly successful? I desperately wanted to tell him. The day your entire family rises to the heavens is arriving in exactly 2 weeks, but I bit my tongue and held back. I admit Nanzi's family aren't bad people at heart, but while they celebrated their sudden windfall, I, the legal husband, was enduring the most agonizing hell. After my shower, I scrolled through my phone in bed. Unexpectedly, I stumbled upon news of Wenwan seeking pleasure at a club. The comment section was a cesspool of mockery. Her husband is a saint. I'm officially naming him the master of cuckolds. I laughed it off with total indifference. Just as I was about to drift off, Feng Yu called his voice, sounding terrifyingly frantic. Old gut! You need to get down here right now. Something happened. My heart jolted. What is it? Oh, Yilus. Bo Yanzhou and Wenwan are practically at each other's throats. Hurry up. A location pin instantly pinged on my phone. Faster move it. Feng Yu roared one last time before abruptly hanging up. I was left completely bewildered. Why on earth would Bo Yanzhou clash with Wenwan? There was zero time to overthink it. I threw on some random clothes and sprinted out the door. By the time I reached the bar, Wenwan and Bo Yanzhou had already been ushered into a private VIP lounge. If not for that, their high-profile status would have guaranteed them the top spot on the trending list. The moment I appeared, Feng Yu rushed over and dragged me to Bo Yanzhou's side. Bo Yanzhou was still fuming. His eyes locked onto Wenwan with a murderous glare, as if they were sworn enemies for life. And Wenwan was even more explosive. Sitting opposite him, the aura she radiated was bone-chilling. Zheng Yuting stood beside her, trembling like a frightened maid. She glanced at Wenwan, then at me, addressing me as brother-in-law for the very first time. You've got it all wrong. I was the one who called those guys over. It has absolutely nothing to do with Sister Wen to... Bo Yanzhou, however, pointed a finger at him and roared, bullshit. That dude's chest was practically smothered against her face. And you're telling me that's nothing? Zheng Yuting looked like she was on the verge of a breakdown. In that tense silence, Wenwan's sharp glacial gaze swept over Bo Yanzhou before landing directly and intensely on me. She was waiting for me to make a scene, but I simply acted like she was invisible. Instead, I patted Bo Yanzhou on the shoulder. Yanzhou, relax. I'm sure you're just overthinking things. Wenwan's taste isn't actually that trashy. She's definitely not into the buff guy type. The entire VIP lounge instantly fell into a deathly silence. Bo Yanzhou and Feng Yu exchanged a stunned look, staring at me in pure disbelief. Are you for real right now? They were well aware we were headed for a divorce, but they never expected me to be this chillingly indifferent. After 10 years of being hopelessly obsessed with her, my heart was now as calm as a stagnant pool. Dead serious. I grabbed both of them by the arms and started walking. Let's go grab a drink. It's on me. From the beginning to the very end. I didn't spare Wenwan a single glance, not even for a second. Zheng Yuting was completely baffled, stammering as she tried to nudge Wenwan. Sister Wen, brother-in-law but Wenwan cut her off. Brother-in-law? Is he even worthy of that title? Her voice was bone-chilling, just as the lounge door was swinging shut. Her words pierced through the air and stabbed into my ears. It felt like a needle pricking my heart. A sharp sting, but surprisingly manageable. Not worthy. Fine, save that brother-in-law title for Nanzi. We found a spot at the bar and started throwing them back. Bo Yanzhou still looked like he'd seen a ghost, asking me over and over, old go, are you truly 100% over her this time? I gave a slow, firm nod. For once in my life, I was absolutely certain. Good. Bo Yanzhou raised his glass. I respect the hell out of your guts. 10 years of devotion. and you just cut it off like it's nothing. He drained his glass in one aggressive gulp. Feng Yu raised his as well. Old Gu, you're a real man.